Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I am an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The next 3 weeks on The Bold and the Beautiful are set to explode with emotional confrontations, fractured loyalties, romantic confusion, and shocking power shifts as the battle between the Logans and the Forresters reaches a dangerous new level. From May 18th through June 5th, old secrets threaten to rise to the surface while fragile relationships are pushed to their breaking point, and the tension building inside Forrester Creations begins to feel almost impossible to contain. Deep beneath the glamorous world of fashion and wealth, fear and desperation quietly spread through the lives of everyone connected to the family empire. Every conversation carries hidden motives. Every emotional reunion comes with strings attached, and every character seems to be standing dangerously close to losing something they cannot afford to lose. As Los Angeles buzzes with rumors and emotional fallout, the coming weeks promise heartbreak, betrayal, ambition, and chaos unlike anything these families expected. And as one secret after another begins to unravel, the emotional damage left behind may change everything forever. The week of May 18 through May 22nd begins with growing panic surrounding Melissa Dillon, whose entire world suddenly feels as though it could collapse in an instant. Fear settles heavily over her as she desperately pleads with Remy Price to stay away and keep his distance, knowing that one wrong move could destroy the delicate balance she has worked so hard to rebuild. Dillon is painfully aware that she has too much at stake now, especially after finally repairing her strained friendship with Electra Forrester and securing stability in her professional life. The cousin secret connecting her to Remy hangs over her like a ticking time bomb, threatening to detonate at any moment and destroy the trust she has carefully rebuilt. Every glance, every unexpected encounter, and every tense conversation becomes filled with anxiety as Dillon struggles to maintain control of a situation that feels increasingly impossible to contain. Even though both Dillon and Remy understand that their family connection must remain hidden for now, secrets in Los Angeles never stay buried forever, and the pressure surrounding them only intensifies with every passing day. At the same time, Remy's continued presence in the city begins stirring new trouble, especially once Charlie Weber returns and potentially spots him lurking around familiar places again. The possibility of Remy being exposed sends shockwaves through multiple lives, and the atmosphere grows heavier with suspicion and unease. Meanwhile, Electra receives deeply alarming news that shakes her emotionally and reignites old frustrations she thought she had already buried. The idea that Remy has remained in Los Angeles and even dared to show his face at Forrester Creations once again leaves her furious and emotionally overwhelmed. Her anger is fueled not only by fear, but by the painful memories and complications Remy continues dragging back into her life. Yet, in the middle of all that emotional chaos, Will Spencer steps forward with a gentler, more hopeful approach, determined to help Electra move beyond the darkness that has been haunting her. Will wants her to stop reliving the pain of the past, and his growing determination to reconnect with her begins carrying a warmth and sincerity that could finally soften the walls she has built around herself. As emotions deepen between them, Will makes a heartfelt, romantic plea that could completely reshape their future together. He pushes for a true, fresh start, one without the weight of old mistakes and lingering fears, hoping Electra will finally allow herself to believe in happiness again. Their emotional connection slowly begins reigniting beneath the surface, creating moments filled with tenderness and cautious hope amid the surrounding chaos. But while one relationship inches toward healing, tensions inside Forrester Creations continue boiling over in dangerous ways. Zende Forrester Dominguez struggles internally as resentment toward RJ Forrester continues festering beneath the surface. Zende is tired of watching RJ treated like the family's golden child, while his own contributions seem overlooked and undervalued. Yet despite the bitterness growing inside him, he attempts to suppress his frustration for the sake of professionalism. Determined to rise above the rivalry, Zende makes an effort to work alongside RJ peacefully, even though every interaction threatens to reopen wounds tied to years of feeling second best. Unfortunately, the same spirit of compromise proves far more difficult for Hope Logan Spencer after a devastating revelation changes the course of her future. Hope is blindsided when Brooke Logan admits that Ridge Forrester never followed through on making her co-CEO as originally planned. The crushing disappointment leaves Hope emotionally raw, exposing once again how deeply divided the Logan and Forrester families have become. As frustrations explode, Hope and Steffy Forrester find themselves locked in yet another bitter confrontation filled with resentment, blame, and emotional exhaustion. Steffy becomes increasingly convinced that Hope's fashion line has brought nothing but turmoil and instability to the company, and her patience finally appears to run out completely. Rather than offering Hope a timeline for a relaunch, Steffy may deliver the crushing blow Hope never expected to hear: that hope for the future is finished permanently. The possibility of losing the line she poured her heart into leaves Hope devastated, forcing her to confront the terrifying reality that her future at Forrester Creations may already be over. As the emotional fallout spreads, Hope begins considering a dramatic new chapter that could shock everyone around her. During the week of May 25th through May 29th, she may officially decide to leave Forrester Creations behind and join the fashion house run by Katie Logan Spencer. The career shift would send ripples through the entire company, symbolizing not only a professional move, but an emotional separation from the Forrester legacy itself. The idea of Hope walking away from everything she built inside those walls feels monumental, and the reactions from both the Logans and Forresters are certain to be explosive. Meanwhile, on a far more romantic note, Will's persistence with Elektra may finally pay off in the most passionate way possible. If Elektra fully embraces the idea of reuniting with him, the two could celebrate their renewed connection with a deeply intimate and emotionally charged night together. After so much pain, confusion, and emotional distance, their reunion could offer one of the few moments of genuine warmth and hope amid the storm surrounding everyone else. Yet even that happiness may come at a cost, because not everyone watching from the sidelines will be able to hide their jealousy and frustration. RJ, in particular, could find himself simmering with anger as emotional complications continue growing around him. His frustrations may eventually lead him toward Dylan, creating an unexpected emotional alliance between two people both struggling under the weight of complicated relationships and mounting pressure. But Dylan's problems are becoming far more dangerous than simple emotional confusion. The threat posed by Remy continues escalating as the risk of their cousin connection being exposed becomes more serious by the day. What once felt like a manageable secret now threatens to spiral completely out of control, especially as Remy grows increasingly desperate and emotionally unstable. The stronger his obsession becomes with reconnecting to Deacon Sharp, the more aggressive and forceful he may become toward Dylan. His desperation begins transforming into intimidation, and the emotional pressure he places on Dylan grows darker and more frightening with every confrontation. Threats may begin replacing pleas, and Dylan could soon realize she is trapped in a situation far more dangerous than she originally imagined. By the time the week of June 1st through June 5th arrives, the instability inside Forrester Creations threatens to erupt into an even larger corporate and emotional disaster. If Zende's attempts to peacefully collaborate with RJ completely fail, his resentment may finally push him toward a shocking career decision that no one saw coming. Tempted by opportunities connected to the Logan side of the family, Zende could begin seriously considering abandoning Forrester altogether. The possibility of losing another talented designer would send shockwaves through the company, further deepening the fractures already tearing the family apart from within. Even Brooke herself may begin questioning whether there is still a future for her at the company after Ridge shattered her hopes of becoming co-CEO. The disappointment and emotional betrayal weigh heavily on her, forcing her to reconsider where her loyalty truly belongs. In the middle of all this uncertainty, the possibility of Brooke and Katie eventually working together begins quietly taking shape, offering the Logan sisters a potential new path built on independence rather than reliance on the Forresters. Though nothing is certain yet, the idea alone marks a major emotional turning point that could permanently reshape alliances and power dynamics in Los Angeles. And while the corporate drama intensifies, another storm quietly gathers in the shadows, one tied to manipulation, obsession, and dangerous sabotage. The story finally begins circling back toward the chaotic triangle involving Deacon, Taylor Hayes, and Sheila Carter, and the atmosphere surrounding them immediately darkens with tension. Sheila's history of manipulation and destruction continues haunting everyone connected to her, and it becomes painfully clear that she is far from finished causing trouble. Beneath her calm exterior, new schemes are already beginning to form, and her next plot could unleash devastating consequences for everyone involved. Taylor and Deacon may believe their relationship is stable enough to survive anything, but Sheila's interference threatens to expose cracks they never realized were there. Her sabotage tactics promise emotional devastation, psychological games, and dangerous betrayals that could leave lasting scars long after the dust settles. As secrets rise, loyalties shift, and emotional battles intensify across Los Angeles, the next chapter of The Bold and the Beautiful promises a relentless wave of drama that will leave every family questioning who they can truly trust when everything around them begins falling apart. As the emotional storm continues raging across Los Angeles, the fragile peace holding these families together begins crumbling faster than anyone expected, and every decision made inside the glamorous walls of Forrester Creations starts carrying life-changing consequences. The tension surrounding Hope's possible departure from the company spreads like wildfire through every office corridor and design room, leaving employees whispering in uncertainty, while long-standing alliances begin shifting beneath the surface. For Hope, the pain runs far deeper than a simple career setback. Watching Steffy dismiss hope for the future as though it were nothing more than a burden leaves her emotionally shattered, because the line represented years of passion, sacrifice, and dreams she fought desperately to protect. The realization that Ridge stood by while her future slowly unraveled only deepens the heartbreak consuming her. Every glance inside the building now reminds Hope of rejection, betrayal, and the painful truth that the Forresters may never truly see her as part of their world, no matter how hard she tried to belong there. And as the emotional distance between the Logans and Forresters grows wider, Hope quietly begins wondering whether leaving the company behind forever might be the only way to finally reclaim her dignity. Meanwhile, Brooke finds herself trapped in an agonizing emotional conflict of her own, torn between love, loyalty, and growing disappointment in Ridge. The dream of becoming co-CEO alongside him was never just about power or status. To Brooke, it symbolized trust, partnership, and the belief that after everything they had survived together, Ridge still saw her as an equal. But now that dream lies in ruins, and the hurt settling into Brooke's heart becomes impossible to ignore. Though she tries to maintain her composure, there is a growing sadness behind her eyes whenever Ridge enters the room, because every interaction now carries the weight of promises that were never fulfilled. Katie begins noticing the emotional exhaustion slowly overtaking her sister, and their conversations take on a much deeper meaning as the possibility of building something independent together becomes more real. The idea of the Logan sisters stepping away from the Forrester dynasty and creating a future on their own starts feeling less like fantasy and more like destiny, especially as the emotional wounds inflicted by Ridge and Steffy continue bleeding deeper. At the same time, Zenday's inner conflict becomes more dangerous with every passing day. He entered this uneasy partnership with RJ determined to rise above the resentment that had haunted him for years, but suppressing those emotions proves far more difficult than he imagined. Every compliment RJ receives, every moment Ridge praises his son's instincts or creativity, cuts into Zende's confidence like a knife. No matter how hard he works, he cannot shake the feeling that he is permanently standing in someone else's shadow. The frustration slowly begins transforming into bitterness, and people around him start noticing subtle cracks in the calm exterior he has fought so hard to maintain. RJ, meanwhile, grows increasingly defensive as tensions between them intensify, creating a hostile atmosphere that threatens to derail major projects within the company. The dream of unity inside Forrester Creations begins slipping away as professional disagreements turn personal, and the possibility of Zende walking away from the company entirely starts becoming frighteningly real. If he ultimately chooses the Logan side over the Forresters, it could ignite an entirely new war inside the fashion empire. Elsewhere, emotions continue intensifying between Will and Elektra, whose renewed connection becomes one of the few bright spots amid the surrounding chaos. Will remains determined to prove that their relationship deserves another chance, and his sincerity slowly breaks through the emotional walls Elektra built after everything she endured. The pain Remy caused still lingers in her mind, but Will's patience and unwavering support begin reminding her what genuine comfort feels like again. Their romantic reunion carries a softness and warmth that feels almost healing, especially after so many weeks of fear and uncertainty. For the first time in a long while, Elektra allows herself to imagine a future that is not defined by anxiety or emotional scars. But even in those tender moments, the shadow of Remy refuses to disappear completely. His presence continues hovering over Dylan's life like a gathering storm, and the more unstable his behavior becomes, the more dangerous the situation grows for everyone connected to him. Dylan soon realizes that Remy's desperation is evolving into something much darker than emotional manipulation. His obsession with reconnecting to Deacon consumes him more intensely each day, twisting his judgment and making his behavior increasingly unpredictable. Conversations that once carried frustration now feel charged with menace, and Dylan begins fearing what Remy might do if he loses control completely. The cousin's secret they have fought so hard to hide suddenly feels secondary compared to the growing fear that Remy could lash out in ways no one can stop. Every phone call from him sends a wave of panic through Dylan, and every unexpected appearance leaves her emotionally shaken. She understands that helping him reconnect with Deacon could trigger devastating consequences, yet refusing him may place her directly in his line of fire. The pressure becomes suffocating, forcing Dylan into an impossible position where every choice feels dangerous. And as Remy's emotional instability worsens, the people around him may soon discover just how far he is willing to go when desperation overtakes reason. While all of this unfolds, Sheila quietly begins moving pieces into place with terrifying precision. Unlike the chaos openly consuming the Forresters and Logans, Sheila's schemes develop in silence, hidden behind calculated smiles and carefully controlled emotions. But beneath that calm exterior lies the same dangerous woman capable of destroying lives without hesitation. Her focus slowly turns toward Taylor and Deacon, whose relationship she views as something standing in the way of her own desires and control. Taylor believes she finally has stability and emotional safety with Deacon, but Sheila's interference threatens to shatter that illusion completely. Subtle manipulations, emotional traps, and carefully orchestrated sabotage begin creeping into their lives, creating tension where trust once existed. Deacon may not even realize how deeply Sheila is influencing the people around him until the damage is already done. And once her plans fully unfold, the emotional fallout could devastate not only Taylor and Deacon, but everyone pulled into Sheila's dangerous orbit. As June approaches, the atmosphere across Los Angeles grows heavier with uncertainty, heartbreak, and emotional reckoning. Relationships once believed unbreakable begin fracturing under the pressure of betrayal and ambition, while buried resentments finally rise to the surface with explosive force. The glamour of the fashion world can no longer hide the emotional devastation spreading through these families, because behind every runway show and corporate meeting lies a battle over loyalty, identity, and survival. Hope stands at the edge of an entirely new future. Brooke questions everything she believed about Ridge, and Zende faces a decision that could permanently alter his place inside the Forrester dynasty. Electra and Will fight desperately for a second chance at happiness, while Dylan struggles to survive the growing danger surrounding Remy. And in the shadows, Sheila patiently prepares the next phase of her chaos, ready to strike when everyone is emotionally vulnerable and least prepared for the destruction ahead. By the time these explosive weeks come to an end, the lives of the Logans, Forresters, and everyone connected to them may be changed forever. Because in the world of the bold and the beautiful, peace never lasts for long, and the next betrayal is always waiting just around the corner.